Fair use. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Before we start the video, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate all the support I received from you. And as always, all the information in my videos is rumors taken from the internet or the street. I'm not saying the information is fact.
Pick your mans up.
And just because people used to come through shooting at us every day. And this block, words can't even explain, man. Can't even explain.
Yeah, man. Little School Valley, 05 way on money. Young money, man. They in the building.
600 boy, LA, man. LA Capone, man. Get it to him, man. OC2 boys, man. Team
Number 9, man. Number 9 shooter, you hear me?
Hey, bitch, little bitch. Yeah. What the fuck is wrong with you? Hey, I am Brick Squad. Brick Squad, boy. What the fuck is you talking about, boy?
You have to be willing to die or go to jail for 100 years if that's the lane that you're stepping in. You have to understand that whether you 15, 16, you got to think like a man. You know what I'm saying?
So don't be in it. Oh, you're not? Why does everybody say you're only 16 years old?
They say what they want to say.
How old are you?
300.
The story of Pluto2x, Part 2. On March 25, 2017, TNG lost a young member named Si Quan, who was only 14 years old at the time of his tragic death. The shooting occurred around 3 p.m. in the 4900 block of West Hubbard Street, close to a playground. Si Quan was standing on the sidewalk when a vehicle approached, and someone inside fired 3 shots at him, as reported by the police. Laquan Allen, also known as Si Quan, was struck in the buttocks and initially taken to Mount Sinai Hospital. Although his condition seemed stable at first, he was later pronounced dead. His mother, Luciana, was devastated, crying on her mother's porch. Si Quan lived with his grandmother, Diana, and before leaving home that morning, he kissed them both on the cheek. He was described as a bright boy who enjoyed school at McNair Elementary but had a passion for basketball and dreamed of becoming a professional player. When they learned about Si Quan's fate, his grandmother received a call from one of his teachers, and his mother rushed to her mother's house. They desperately called hospitals to locate him, and upon reaching Mount Sinai, they received the heartbreaking news of his passing. "It's incredibly difficult as a parent," said Luciana. "Losing a loved one is unimaginably painful, and whoever took my son away from us doesn't understand the magnitude of their actions. We need answers," she added. "What led to this? He was such a good kid. Today, we mourn a significant loss," expressed Diana. Despite Guan's young age, he had been shot once before, in 2013. That time, he was shot in the thigh and recovered. His mother believed that her son was being pressured by friends to join a gang. She also stated he had already gotten into trouble for stealing a car and she believes the shooting was targeted. Even though he was shot last year, they couldn't keep him from continuing to go out. Despite the age difference, Pluto and Si Quan were close and he suffered from great sorrow when he received the news while being locked up. Once he got out, he changed his name on Facebook to Si Quan Capper. Si Quan was active in the streets and it is certainly true, as the mother told, that he was encouraged by elders, such as Pluto, to commit crimes. However, he was still loved by them, and I'm sure they never had to force him to do anything. In 2019, Zach uploaded a status on Facebook where he wrote, "If Ghost and Si Quan were still here, they would be a big problem." The reason why Si Quan was in that area at the time was because he was dealing narcotics, according to sources. Based on information from my contacts, Stupid Dre and Sosa Curry from Teen Mob/LT are allegedly the ones rumored to have been involved in the murder. Dre, one of the few remaining members of Teen Mob, used to taunt Sequan regularly on Facebook, although he has toned down the taunting of Sequan in recent years. In April 2018, he posted a status saying, "Sequan, who run it?" He lost his top, accompanied by laughing emojis. Another post mentioned, "Me and Sosa was just smoking dope for hours, laughing about Sequan." Dre also shared a memorial post about Sequan, adding laughing emojis. In a different post, he stated, "To all the ops, we don't want to talk. Like Sequan, it's going down." In March 2020, he wrote, "Slow feet catch heat, Sequan," followed by a laugh and ghost emoji. In December 2019, Dre released a song titled 49 Deadops, a remix of Andrilla's 51 Dead Ops. The number 49 references TNG 4900. In the song, Dre rapped, "Caught Sequan, hit him once, then he dropped." A year after the murder, Stupid Dre from LT posted a Facebook status where he wrote, "Pull up and let off 3 like Sosa," followed by laughing and clapping emoji. Another member who wasn't shy with mockery was the other alleged man involved in Sequan's murder, Sosa Curry from Teen Mob. He even posted the news article of Sequan's death on his Facebook page. Sosa was a top member of Teen Mob and was allegedly one of the most active members from their side. In late January 2016, he had lost his little brother, Tice, who we talked about earlier. Sosa was never the same after his death. He constantly expressed his pain on Facebook and said that he felt like he failed as a big brother. This is also why he harbored such intense animosity toward TNG. They had taken his brother from him. However, Sosa Curry's opportunity to taunt Sequan was short-lived because, sadly, exactly 1 week after Sequan's murder, Sosa would meet the same fate. On April 2, 2017, a week after the murder of 14-year-old Sequan, GhostMobb would get back at Teen Mob/LT. 23-year-old Pierre Charvel Minor, also known as Sosa Curry from Teen Mob/LT, was sitting in a parked vehicle in the 5200 block of West Chicago, which is territory of NMBM, who were located close to GhostMobb. Suddenly, 2 males then crept up to his vehicle and shot him in the head and chest before running away, according to Chicago police and the Cook County Medical Examiner's office. Sosa, who lived in the same neighborhood, was pronounced dead at Strodger Hospital 50 minutes after the shooting, and an autopsy report found he died of massive internal bleeding and perforation of the aorta and bilateral lungs from multiple gunshot wounds. It has long been rumored that Pluto2x was involved in his murder, but it is false. Despite all the mockery he has made of his memory, Pluto was still locked up for the attempted murder when it happened, which he also stated in the song, Op Pack, featuring Kobe2x, where he rapped, "Sosa checked out, he got hit in his taco, ask me what happened, how would I know? I was locked up at the time, that's what I know. Zach from GhostMobb also confirmed this on Facebook, where he wrote "Free Pluto" on several occasions before and after Sosa died. Once Pluto was released in mid-2018, he started mocking Sosa Curry heavily on social media and in songs, just as many other GhostMobb members. In June 2019, Pluto shared a photo of himself standing in the rain with an umbrella, captioning it, "When it rains, it pours." P.S. The guys up there beating up Sosa got him crying and shit, along with several laughing emojis. 2 months later, he posted a picture of Sosa standing beside his brother Tice's grave, adding the caption, "Sosa thought he was tough, gave him a plot and some dirt. Last time they saw him, he pulled up in a hearse. Happy birthday, dead bitch." Cody also chimed in with a status update, saying, "Going to see Quan and then go and piss on Sosa and Tice's grave," which Pluto reposted with the comment, "Damn, I need to pee too," accompanied by laughing emojis. As I said, Pluto also mocked Sosa in his music. In the song, "Hit a Lick," he rapped, "Op Nem lost a lot of homies, Sosa put us up a nick." For those of you who don't understand the reference, nick is short for nickel, which is a 5-cent piece. Pluto means that after Sosa was killed, GhostMobb was up by 5 bodies on Teen Mob. In another song, called 4,900 Hooligans, Pluto rapped, "Sosa was thinking he crazy but they put him to sleep, he ain't waking back up." Pluto also mocked him in the song, "Location," featuring SGE Savage, by rapping, "Sosa got killed trying to cake it." There is also a video of Pluto stomping on Sosa's grave. Zach, also known as Lil Jason, Cody and Quincy, or Sid, from GhostMobb, 3 notorious shooters from out west, were allegedly behind the murder of Sosa Curry, according to my sources. It's difficult to determine who approached Sosa's car, but there were 2 shooters and a getaway driver involved in the hit. All 3 have consistently taunted Sosa on social media, possibly even more than Pluto. In February 2017, Sosa posted a status on Facebook where he wished for the release of Zach and Cody, who were incarcerated at the time. However, both were freed 2 weeks prior to Sosa's death. Nonetheless, Zach shared this status again in 2019, adding the comment, "Aw Sosa knew," accompanied by a laughing emoji. Zach also expressed in a post that Sosa was his favorite hop and added, "Long live Chief Sosa," followed by laughing emojis. Quincy, also known as Sid, was arguably the most disrespectful among the trio. He even went as far as creating a new Facebook page under the name Sosa Sid. In April 2019, he posted a status where he wrote, "So why ain't nobody called and told me it's Sosa Curry Day?" In another post, he recounted what Sosa Curry had supposedly said to him during a FaceTime call before his death, "You know them people ain't going to do shit when you get smoked, right? On BJ, that's why I'm going to kill you, Zach and Cody first on BJ." Quincy then added, "Bro, BJ mad as hell on you right now, damn I miss Sosa Curry funny ass." Sosa and Quincy frequently engaged in banter on Facebook and FaceTime, often planning confrontations and exchanging taunts. Interestingly, Quincy, Cody, and Chief Split from GhostMobb had encountered him a year prior at Popeye's Chicken on the west side, along with 10 other Teen Mob members. A fight ensued, during which Cody allegedly hurled a chair at Sosa while his friends reportedly stood by without helping. Sosa purportedly called out to the workers to call the police, fearing for his life. The altercation escalated into gunfire in the parking lot, resulting in Sosa being shot twice in the hand and once in the right leg. Quincy mocked Sosa on multiple occasions regarding this incident. TNG was in deep sorrow after Sosa Curry was killed, not least one of his best friends, Stupid Dre, who mourned him continuously on Facebook. In one post, he wrote, "Long live Sosa Curry, Diocese." On September 7, TNG would lose the member whose name was later used for the new name, GhostMobb, as a way to honor his name. On this Thursday morning, 18-year-old Terrence Johnson, also known as Ghost, or C-Stance, was out early dealing drugs in the 3800 block of West Flournoy when two gunmen walked up to him and shot him in his neck and arm. Ghost was taken to Strawger Hospital, where he tragically died half an hour later. The territory that Ghost was dealing in belongs to Poppy Gang 3900, and they were also the ones who were rumored to have killed him. A few months after the murder, EBK Casper from TNG/GhostMobb posted a status on Facebook where he wrote, "Poppy Gang, count your days. Long live Ghost." Ghost was a very beloved member and was from the same generation as Pluto, and they was very close friends. He was rumored to have been a shooter and drug dealer. The sorrow was deep within TNG after his passing. Poppy Gang mocked him heavily on social media after the murder. Four months later, GhostMobb/TNG lost yet another member, the 3rd of 2017. Polo from GhostMobb was out walking in the 400 block of North Springfield when someone walked up to him and shot him in his head and leg, according to Chicago police. He was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, where he was sadly pronounced dead. According to rumors, Polo was killed by BTBG. Now we have entered the year 2018, not least for Pluto, who is rumored to have caught 3 bodies within 4 months. Pluto was released for the attempted murder on August 17 for the attempted murder after beating the case in trial. GhostMobb was putting out smoke. In May 2018, they shot Jigga from Poppy Gang, and soon enough, GhostMobb would drop their first body in the new year. On March 8, 2018, officers found Joseph Smith, also known as Joe Diddy, shot multiple times in the chest in the 800 block of North Waller. He was taken to Strawger Hospital, where he was pronounced dead 30 minutes later at the age of 16 years old. Joe Diddy was a member of a gang called MPAT Gang, or MNA, which stands for Mayfield and Augusta, or Menard and Augusta, it depends on who you ask, and consists of members that claim 4CH. MNA are longtime rivals of GhostMobb/TNG. According to my sources, Zach from GhostMobb, also known as Zach Attack, was allegedly behind the murder of Joe Diddy. After the murder, Zach and other GhostMobb members mocked Joe Diddy multiple times on Facebook and still does to this day. The beef between GhostMobb and MNA was allegedly started due to a fight over a female at a party. There is a very interesting story, and horrifying, about how Joe Diddy and his brother Re Diddy got their second name Diddy, and 23 as they are also called. These two brothers gained notoriety for the murder of Kendrick Thornton, a high-ranking member of B Gang, also known as Louis Diddy. On August 21, 2016, Louis was standing on the sidewalk near West End and Keystone Avenues when Re and Joe approached him and opened fire. Though Louis was struck by bullets, he managed to flee into a nearby house and attempted to barricade himself inside. However, Re and Joe, who were only 15 and 14 years old at the time, forcefully entered the house and proceeded to shoot him a total of 23 times. In a grim twist, Re and Joe adopted Louis' moniker, Diddy, along with the number of bullets he endured, as their own. 1 year following Louis' murder, the eldest brother, Re Diddy, met his demise. He was killed in WMG territory, an ally of MNA, during a robbery. Re was hanging out with two other teenagers, Charlie and a 14-year-old girl, in a stairwell located in the 5600 block of West Washington Boulevard. Suddenly, an unidentified individual entered the vestibule of the building, demanding the teens' possessions before opening fire, injuring all three. Charlie sustained a gunshot wound to the back, while Re Diddy was fatally shot in the head. Both were pronounced dead at the scene 15 minutes later. The girl suffered a gunshot wound to her right leg and managed to transport herself to West Suburban Medical Center in Oak Park, where her condition was stabilized. The perpetrators of the murder remain unknown, but evidence suggests that they were not associated with the brothers' enemies. And as I previously said, 1 year later, on March 8, 2018, the second brother, Joe Diddy, would meet the same fate. On August 5th, Pluto from GhostMobb would claim another victim, Charles Green, also known as Boss Slat, or Lee 4, a member of the said Sniper Gang, but was also claiming HRYM, abbreviation for Hood Rich Young Money, and YFN. All three of these sets are 4CH. Lee 4 stood outside on the first block of North LeClaire alongside one other man and three women when two shooters opened fire at the group. Lee 4, aged 32, sustained gunshot wounds to his body and neck and was transported to Strodger Hospital, where he was unfortunately pronounced dead. Another man, aged 30, was shot in the back of his head, while a 27-year-old woman suffered injuries to her arm and wrist. Their conditions were stabilized at Strodger Hospital. Additionally, a 34-year-old woman sustained a gunshot wound to her left leg and self-transported to Strodger, where she was listed in good condition. Furthermore, a 21-year-old woman was taken to West Suburban Medical Center in Oak Park with a graze wound to her left knee and was treated and released. Consequently, this incident was classified as a mass shooting and Pluto has for long been rumored as one of the shooters. However, that is false. Pluto, accompanied by other GhostMobb members, is rumored to have been behind the murder. It was reported as a mass shooting. The suspicion surrounding Pluto's involvement stemmed from Dez's Facebook post seemingly acknowledging Pluto's role in Lee 4's murder shortly after Pluto's demise. Dez from YFN hinted at it in a Facebook status, writing "Long live Lee 4" alongside 3 laughing emojis. Several other members and relatives honored Lee 4 on the day Pluto was killed. In a side note, I wanted to just quickly mention the murder of another Teen Mob/LT member who was killed on September 10, 2018. The member I'm referring to is Scooby Fo, who was shot in the head in the 100 block of West 119th Street. He was not killed by GhostMobb/TNG or any other set out west, but by GDs in the 100s. Scooby was also known as Mr. .dngk. Scooby Fo, whose real name was Deshaun Wakefield, was a true soldier and had cheated death on multiple occasions before. In 2012, he was shot in the leg when his friend Q Dizzle from LT was shot and killed in 2012. 2 years later, in 2014, he was shot in the chest 3 times on Thomas and managed to recover. Just 2 weeks before he was killed, he was stabbed in the neck and managed yet again to recover. The 4th time, it was over. Next up was another HRYM member, Too Hot, or Wan Wan, who also claimed TMB. However, this time Pluto was free and he was the one who scored. On September 30, 2018, Too Hot was walking on a sidewalk at 4:40 p.m. in the 5500 block of West Monroe Street when a green SUV drove by and Pluto hopped out and opened fire as he chased him down and killed him. Too Hot was shot in his chest and shoulder and was taken to Strodger Hospital, where he was sadly pronounced dead, according to authorities. According to the news outlets, he was only 13 years of age, but according to the sources I have heard from, he was 15 and was supposed to have been 20 on May 11, 2023. Pluto from GhostMobb was allegedly the gunman in the murder. Just as with Trigger's murder, after Pluto's death, family and friends of Too Hot took to social media to claim that Pluto was responsible for his killing. Under the post about Pluto's demise on Legal Help Firm, a relative of Too Hot mentioned that Pluto had killed his cousin, referring to Too Hot. Another relative posted on Facebook a few hours later, expressing condolences with the message, "Fly high my boy, you can be at peace now nephew." Several others shared memorial pictures of Too Hot following Pluto's death. Moreover, it wasn't just relatives and friends who pointed to Pluto as the perpetrator, Pluto himself confirmed it. In the comments section under one of his Instagram posts where he paid homage to his friend Chief Split, who was killed a year after Too Hot, A member from WMG mocked him by commenting, "Lil ass jeans." Pluto responded by saying, "Too hot's pants were tight too. That's why when I chased him down, he fell, lol." Two months later it was time again. This time he caught a body on GhostMobb's longtime rivals, TNG/LT. In late November 2018, Lil Mook, also called Chief Young Heavy, from TNG/LT CYH was walking with a friend in the 1000 block of North Leamington, which falls within Teen Mob territory. Suddenly, a vehicle pulled up, and gunfire erupted. At least one assailant exited the car and shot Lil Mook in the head and his friend in the leg. Luckily, the friend managed to flee before the attackers could finish him off. Lil Mook, aged 21, was pronounced dead approximately 2 hours after the shooting at Loyola University Medical Center in Maywood. The other man, also 21, had sustained 2 gunshot wounds to the leg and self-transported to West Suburban Medical Center in Oak Park, where he was reported to be in good condition by the police. Based on my sources, Pluto was implicated in this murder, and Lil Mook's family appeared to confirm it by heavily mocking Pluto after his death. Among others, his cousin posted a status on Facebook where she wrote, "Today is a good day, long live Lloyd, long live Chief Young Heavy, now beat him up there," followed by laughing emojis. Four months later Pluto caught another one, which would be his 4th body within 8 months and 7th in total. He was basically sliding daily on all of his enemies and there was no stopping him from dropping bodies. On March 28, 2019, Scooby from BG World/C4Mob walked out of a business and got into the passenger seat of a vehicle in the 1000 block of North Lawler Avenue, which is territory belonging to BG World. After a few minutes, a silver-colored car pulled up behind him and someone fired shots into the car Scooby was sitting in. Scooby, whose real name was Eric Bowman, was shot twice in the chest and the arm, according to authorities. He was taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly after the shooting. BG World is a set composed of members claiming 4CH, and their territory borders their rivals from GhostMobb. In the police report regarding this murder, Pluto was actually listed as the offender. This information was released after Pluto died when the police cleared the case as solved due to the death of the offender. To my knowledge, Pluto was never arrested, most likely due to lack of evidence, but police, just as in many other cases around Chicago, knew who the offender was. There is a mystery surrounding this murder, and it is that Pluto, despite being rivals with BG World, was familiar with the victim, and actually were somewhat cordial with him at one point in time. What is even stranger is that Pluto actually wrote a Facebook status about this one day after the murder. The post read, "On some for real shit, I know we had our arguments and everything, but I would never actually thought you would pass away so soon. The only thing that makes this so bad is your baby not having a father. I don't agree with that shit, period. I know we had what we had going on, but right is right, and wrong is wrong. You didn't deserve this for real. You had potential to leave these streets and be something in life, but instead you lost your life over something that 9 times out of 10 could have been avoided. Sad. Long live Eric." I've asked around about this situation but have not been able to find out trustworthy information of what it really was about. However, the last line in Pluto's Facebook status suggests that Pluto was aware of the precise motive for his murder. It appears to be one of those regrettable situations where he felt it was inevitable, yet he didn't truly desire it, believing it could have been easily prevented. Exhausted and determined, the police were on a mission to rid the streets of Pluto. Their resolve intensified just 5 days after the tragic death of Scooby, when Pluto found himself in custody, not for Scooby's murder, but for the killing of Lil Mook from TNMob/LT, who was shot and killed on November 19, 2018, a case we discussed earlier. Surprisingly, despite being arrested for first-degree murder on April 3, 2019, Pluto was released without charges due to insufficient evidence, leaving the police and relatives of his victim even more irritated. 2 weeks later, they made another attempt, but this time Pluto found himself arrested and slapped with 10 charges, ranging from aggravated fleeing and narcotics possession to traffic violations, public property damage, and driving with a revoked license. However, once again, Pluto would be released again in no time. Following his implication in 2 murders and a slew of other charges within a short span, Pluto entered a tumultuous period marked by loss. Over the next 3 months, from April 20, 2019, to July 8, 2019, he suffered from the deaths of 8 friends, 4 of whom were particularly close. Additionally, he experienced the loss of a child and faced constant ups and downs in his relationship with his longtime girlfriend. His Facebook page, akin to a personal diary, reflected the profound changes he underwent during this time. With each loss, he appeared increasingly desensitized to the pain, his heart growing empty and consumed by a singular desire: revenge. He even admitted to losing his sanity during this time. Ultimately, these events set the stage for his actions. However, it wasn't just Pluto who suffered from the losses. The whole TNG went through it, and by the end of the year, GhostMobb would never be the same. On April 20th, the first loss would come when Baby C, or LZ, from GhostMobb would be shot and killed. Baby C, whose real name was Laz Eric Preen, was found unresponsive with gunshot wounds to the chest in the 4100 block of West Adams Street. He was taken to Strodger Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at the age of only 16. An autopsy conducted Sunday ruled his death a homicide, saying he died from multiple gunshot wounds. A number of people were on the scene at the time of the shooting, but they have not been cooperating with investigators. Based on information from my sources, it appears that MPAT Gang, or MNA, was behind the murder of Baby C. However, the identity of the actual shooter remains unknown. Rumors suggest that it was a chaotic shootout involving multiple individuals firing weapons, complicating efforts to pinpoint the individual responsible for the fatal shots. Baby C was a younger member, 6 years younger than Pluto, but he was still close to him. They often hung out and Pluto showed him the ropes of the street. A couple of days after the murder, Pluto uploaded a status on Facebook where he wrote, "They killed my lil bro. Man, I wish I was there when that shit popped off." Two weeks later, Pluto lost another friend. J-Rock from BBMG, who were close allies of GhostMobb. J-Rock, whose real name was Justin Wilson, was shot and killed in the 700 block of North Ridgeway Avenue on May 5, 2019. He was out walking when several men walked up to him and opened fire. He was hit multiple times, including in the face and body, and taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at the age of 30 half an hour later. BTBG was allegedly responsible for the murder. 6 days later he lost yet another friend, Swervo from CNR, who was shot in the head in the 200 block of South Laverne Avenue. A woman was also hit in the left thigh but managed to survive. Who killed him is unknown. One more week passed, and GhostMobb suffered yet another blow with the loss of another member, Lil Chris, who was particularly close to Pluto, serving as his right-hand man. On May 13, 2019, Lil Chris was at home with his girlfriend and their children in the 3300 block of West Douglas Boulevard. Also present was the girlfriend's brother, Dominic Wing, also known as Domo. That day, Domo entered the couple's bedroom and asked Lil Chris for a rolling paper while he laid in the bed, with Domo's sister and the children nearby on the floor. After leaving the room briefly, Domo returned, turned off the light, and allegedly shot Lil Chris 11 times without saying a word. Lil Chris, aged 23, sustained multiple gunshot wounds and was rushed to nearby Mount Sinai Hospital, where he was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. Five months later, on September 4, 2019, Dominic Wings was taken into custody Wednesday and charged with first-degree murder in Lil Chris's death, according to his arrest report. Pluto was overcome with grief upon receiving the news and took to Facebook to express his sorrow over the loss of his best friend. In various statuses, he conveyed his emotions, writing, "10-year bro, shorty, I can't even hide my pain," and, "It's certain deaths you just can't heal from, no matter how much time goes by." Additionally, Pluto hinted at the possibility of Lil Chris's girlfriend's involvement in the murder in one of his posts, stating, "Hoes don't even know what they're getting themselves into." However, given that their children were present, I have doubts about the accuracy of this implication. It was not only Pluto who implicated this, it was several others, and a few days before his death, Lil Chris uploaded a status on Facebook where he wrote, "Can put my trust in these women, and never will." One comment, under legal help firm's post about this death, even read, "RIP Lil Chris, I just wanna know why she not in jail, she set this whole thing up, just by reading the story you can tell this was a setup, I hate hoes like this." Also, in a song written by Pluto called Limon Legends, but was rapped by his brother Pluto2x, he said, "Lost my right hand in May, heard he died where he stayed, got set up by a girl he thought was real, whole time she was fake. During the trial, the alleged motive behind Domo's killing of Lil Chris surfaced. Prosecutors speculated that the shooting might have been linked to the death of Domo's friend, known as Hustle or Shamar, who was fatally shot 2 weeks earlier in West Garfield Park on April 30, 2019. During that incident, authorities reported that 23-year-old Hustle, whose real name was Vincent Cox Hastings, was gunned down in the evening, along with a 22-year-old man who was also wounded by gunfire in the 4000 block of West Van Buren. Prosecutors revealed that the gun used in Hustle's killing was discovered beneath the bed where Lil Chris was shot. Despite recovering the weapon, a spokesperson for the Chicago police stated that the investigation into Hustle's homicide remained ongoing and active. On June 8, 2019, Pluto lost 2 of his closest friends at the same time, Lil C and Spike Lee from TNG/GhostMobb. The 2 were not murdered but died together in a car crash which left several others injured. The 3, who were in a 2012 Kia, fled a stop sign in Austin on the west side after an officer tried to stop them. The driver fled southbound on Pulaski Road at a high rate of speed and hit a 2007 Honda CR-V head-on containing 3 women, which caused a huge collision. Jaquan T. Shockley, 17, also known as Spike Lee, was pronounced dead at Strawger Hospital, and 23-year-old Marquise Willis, also known as Lil C, was pronounced dead the next day. 2 women in the Honda, a 38-year-old and an 18-year-old, were taken to Mount Sinai Hospital, and a 16-year-old girl who was also in the Honda was taken to Strawger Hospital. All 3 were in serious condition but thankfully survived. GhostMobb was devastated upon receiving the news, particularly Pluto, who had lost 5 friends in a short span of time. Pluto expressed his grief in several Facebook statuses mourning Spike Lee and Lil C. Chief Split from GhostMobb shared a status expressing frustration. "So this shit just ain't going to stop, huh?" Pluto echoed this sentiment, adding, "On Troy, it's over with, I can't do it no more," accompanied by a broken heart emoji. In another post, Pluto expressed fear, writing, "I can't lie. On Big Glow, I'm scared, not of no ops or none, but of how I'm finna get." This was followed by another post stating, "Troy, this year can be over with already. 2019 ain't bring shit but pain for real." What's crazy is that just 2 months before Lil C and Chief Split died in the car crash, Pluto released a song called Nightmares, where he rapped, "Love when Swerve and Spike behind the wheel, them high speeds fun." As I said earlier, Spike was known for driving fast and going at high speeds, so it wasn't shocking that it ended the way it did. Only 5 days later, Pluto faced yet another tragedy, the loss of his unborn baby. I'll be frank, I nearly shed tears as I scrolled through Pluto's Facebook page during this time. While Pluto isn't perfect, and the gang life often brings consequences, the unborn baby was innocent in all of this. It was heartbreaking to witness Pluto endure this loss alongside the deaths of multiple friends, especially considering his expressed desire to become a father on several occasions. And as if this wasn't enough, Pluto had also lost another family member earlier in the spring, his granddad, who stood him very close. On the 4th of July in 2019, coinciding with Independence Day, Pluto caught his fourth alleged body, or fifth if you include the manslaughter case from 2012. He was allegedly sliding together with Pluto2x, Quincy, and Zach from GhostMobb near Oskino gang territory. They were using two cars with one trailing the other. While lurking for enemies, they spotted a large group of people outside playing dice near Iowa Street and Homan Avenue around 11:30 a.m. that morning. A witness stated he saw three people jump out of the two cars, one of which was Cody, and proceeded to open fire at the group of people. One after another, bullets were discharged from the magazines as individuals from the group scattered in every direction. In the chaos, 4 people were struck by gunfire, resulting in one fatality. A 17-year-old boy sustained gunshot wounds to his upper body, while a 31-year-old man and a 23-year-old man were both hit in their legs. The victim who succumbed to his injuries was identified as Pierre Teamer SR, also known as Pistol P, a 32-year-old affiliated with the Set Baby T Blood Gang, or BTBG. The 3 members quickly jumped back into their cars and fled the scene. The shooting was the largest from that July 4th weekend, which saw 5 people killed and 63 others wounded. After the shooting, police officers tried to chase one of the cars involved in the crime, a white sedan, but lost sight of the car. However, they later found it abandoned that very same day in the afternoon. Pluto2x, one of the alleged shooters and who was later arrested, had been captured on a surveillance camera wiping down and pouring lighter fluid on the sedan before setting it on fire in an attempt to destroy any evidence. About 10 minutes later, Cody's alleged accomplice, Quincy, was seen on surveillance video buying a can of gas, prosecutors said. When he returned to the Hyundai Equus, the man allegedly poured gas on the car and set it on fire again. Pluto2x was initially apprehended for reckless conduct, just 4 days following the homicide. During a recorded phone conversation, Cody confessed to igniting the sedan, according to prosecutors. "They caught me on the arson. There's no denying it's me in the video, and it's my face," Cody purportedly admitted. However, a week later, his charges were updated, this time for first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. Nonetheless, due to insufficient evidence, the state declined to press charges against both Pluto2x and Quincy, who was also arrested, for the murder and attempted murders. The arson charges, however, remained pending. According to court documents, Cody and Quincy were initially detained without bail for the arson charge but were later placed under electronic monitoring, leading to their release. However, on March 22, 2021, police conducted a raid at Cody's residence, where they discovered a loaded semi-automatic handgun, over $32,000 in cash, and 265 grams of marijuana. Subsequently, Cody was arrested once more. In addition to the arson charge, he faced a felony drug charge and a misdemeanor weapons charge. Nevertheless, Cody's attorney contended that the search was unlawful because a warrant had not been obtained, and Cody was apprehended at the front door. Consequently, Cody was released on electronic monitoring once again, which remains his current status. Once Cody was released, he released the song "I'm Back," where he bragged about beating the body. Pluto was never arrested for this murder, but according to my sources, he was one of the alleged shooters and rode in the car that was never located. On the contrary, Quincy, who by the way also is known as Sid, found himself entangled in a far graver offense while out on felony bail. He was apprehended for first-degree murder, although not related to the 4th of July homicide. but rather for the killing of a fellow member within his own gang, GhostMobb. As I narrate this segment, it's essential to note that we're shifting ahead in the timeline. This event unfolded in December 2020, 1 year after Pluto's death. Following this, we'll return to the events of 2019. On December 6, 2020, Quincy was sliding alongside 3 other GhostMobb associates, one of whom was Pluto2x, the brother of Pluto2x. According to prosecutors, Quincy and his companions were in a vehicle with 4 additional passengers when another driver pulled up beside them at a red light near Bloomington and Laramie. The driver, a 68-year-old man, recounted to the police that he observed someone in the other car pointing a gun at his head through the passenger window. He quickly ducked as he heard several gunshots hitting his vehicle before the assailant's car sped away. Approximately 14 minutes later, a passenger from the car Quincy was sitting in dialed 911 to report gunfire near Belmont and LeClaire in Belmont-Cragen. Eyewitnesses, including an off-duty firefighter, spotted 4 men fleeing from the vehicle at the scene. Upon police arrival, Pluto2x was discovered deceased in the back seat, having sustained 4 gunshot wounds to his chest. Witnesses provided descriptions of the fleeing individuals, leading officers to apprehend Quincy and 2 others nearby. The attorney did not disclose the identities of the other 2 individuals or mention any charges against them. It appears they were not charged, as there is no record of such. Now, some of you may be confused, questioning how someone in their own vehicle could be fatally shot while engaged in gunfire with another car. Well, as per prosecutors, Quincy inadvertently hit Thule in the chest while firing at the other vehicle through the passenger window. Upon reviewing surveillance footage from the location of Quincy's arrest, authorities observed Quincy tossing a firearm onto a garage roof just before his apprehension by the police. Ballistics examinations revealed that 11 shell casings recovered inside the car were discharged from that weapon, and it's purported that some of those bullets struck Thule in the chest and hand. The assistant state's attorney, James Murphy, stated the other 2 people arrested with Quincy also ditched guns while running from the car. In addition to the 11 casings from Quincy's gun that police allegedly found in the car with Thule, investigators recovered 13 casings from 3 different guns, including 3 that were fired by Thule's weapon. He also said the ballistics evidence is consistent with Quincy shooting out the back passenger window and hitting his friend Thule instead. On February 20, 2024, Quincy received a sentence of 18 years in prison, 6 years for the arson he committed in 2019 with Cody, and 12 years for Thule's murder in December 2020. He was convicted of second-degree murder instead of first-degree murder, which contributed to the relatively lenient sentence. His projected parole date is set for February 19, 2026. Given the situation, Quincy received a remarkably lenient sentence. He could have just as easily been facing charges not only for arson but also for first-degree murder and 3 attempted murders, as the police initially sought in 2019 but which the state denied. As previously mentioned, Thule was Pluto's younger brother and a member of GhostMobb. Like his older brother, he was allegedly involved in shootings and homicides. On Pluto's birthday, July 23, 2020, which was more of a memorial than a celebration due to Pluto's death in 2019, Thule reportedly killed a member of BTBG who was attempting to target GhostMobb that day. On that day, 23 was accompanied by 2 other individuals, including an unidentified female and Lude Marcos, a rapper from BTBG. They arrived at the 900 block of North Lamone Avenue, a significant street for GhostMobb and the location of the party. Without hesitation, they began firing at the group of people who were standing outside. However, the hit took a disastrous turn for the perpetrators. Lude Marcos allegedly accidentally hit 23, and as members of GhostMobb returned fire, Lud Marcos was hit in the upper body. Lud Marcos managed to escape, but 23 was shot multiple times by Pluto2x and was left for dead by Lud Marcos and the female accomplice, who fled the scene in a blue Dodge Charger. Had they not fled, all three would likely have been killed. 23 sustained gunshot wounds all over his body, including his chest and head. Sources indicate that Lud Marcos was responsible for the shot to the chest, while Pluto2x subsequently shot him multiple times from head to toe. A video allegedly recorded by Zach from GhostMobb captured the aftermath at the scene, showing 23 lying on the ground surrounded by blood. 23 had been shot in his torso and once in his eye. GhostMobb members were seen taunting him and asking about where his strap is. Police intervened to push back the GhostMobb members to prevent them from interfering with the ambulance personnel. Despite efforts, 23 succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced dead at the age of 18 at Stryger Hospital. Additionally, a 15-year-old girl who was present at the party had also been shot in the arm, but survived after being taken to the hospital in stable condition. Three days later, Lud Marcos was arrested, much thanks to the fact that he needed to seek medical care after being shot. However, he was not only arrested, he was also charged with the murder of his friend, 23. Authorities said city surveillance cameras allegedly captured Lud Marcos, whose real name is Marcus Lewis, and two others approaching the outdoor gathering and firing several shots. A 15-year-old girl was wounded in the first volley of gunfire. But gunmen among the mourners returned fire, wounding Marcus and mortally wounding one of his accomplices. Marux later told police that he saw who shot him but wouldn't name the person. In court, prosecutors called Marcus, 18, a high school senior and reputed traveling Vice Lord member, a main driver of violence in the Harrison Police District on the city's west side, connected with several shootings and homicides in the community within the last year alone. Authorities also noted that he was a YouTube rapper who posts multiple videos of firearms, narcotics and street gang activity. Following his arrest a short time after the shooting, Marcus allegedly gave a videotaped confession admitting that he and his group went to the outdoor party to kill two gang rivals in retaliation for the shooting death of a friend. He stated he got the location of the event through social media and later identified himself in video stills from the scene. The individual they sought revenge for was Gigaman, also known as JJ, affiliated with BTBG-WMG, who was slain on July 18, 2020, just 4 days before 23's death. However, JJ's death was not at the hands of GhostMobb but by Rico from BBMG 700, allies of GhostMobb. Rico, later apprehended, faces charges for JJ's murder and remains detained in Cook County awaiting trial. Investigations revealed JJ's killing was retribution for the slaying of Lil Rob from BBMG on May 8, 2020, 2 months prior. Sources suggest TVL's involvement in Lil Rob's murder, possibly by BTBG, while GhostMobb's potential involvement in JJ's killing is plausible, considering Rico was one of 3 shooters, with the other 2 still at large. Lud Marcos and 23's attendance at the party might have been spurred by a desire for retribution, though it was likely motivated by a desire to make a significant impact on Pluto's birthday. Although initially charged with first-degree murder, Lud Marcos was ultimately convicted of aggravated discharge of a firearm. On September 15, 2022, he was sentenced to 9 years in prison. His projected parole date is set for April 2, 2027. 6 months later, Thule met a fate eerily similar to that of 23, being shot by one of his own, as we walked about earlier. Following this incident, Zach from GhostMobb posted a status on Facebook reminiscing about Thule and wrote, "I remember Lord got his first belt. He says, big bro, I just effed them up. He tried to get out of there," followed by laughing emojis and the Islam emoji, which in this case is used as an C as in symbol for conservative vice lords. In a hashtag under the text, Zach wrote, "Where your strap at?" and "You invited that," which refers to the murder of 23 who Thule allegedly killed. Now we jump back to the timeline and we are still in the summer of 2019, the summer where Pluto lost one friend after another. On July 8, 2019, Chief Split, a member of GhostMobb, was killed in a tumultuous altercation outside a nightclub in Harvey, Illinois. The circumstances bore a striking resemblance to the events leading to the passing of King Von. Chief Split engaged in a fight in the parking lot of Let's Play, located at 15420 Dixie Highway, not far from the police department. Amidst the altercation, gunfire erupted, with multiple individuals, including club security personnel, suspected of discharging their weapons. Tragically, Chief Split sustained gunshot wounds during the exchange, and despite efforts, he succumbed to his injuries, ultimately being declared dead at the hospital. Chief Split, whose real name was Larry Matthews, was only 27 years old when he died. Who Chief Split fought with is unknown. GhostMobb had now suffered from 5 losses in less than 3 months. The sorrow was deep within the set, and the question everyone asked was whether GhostMobb could really recover from this. Certainly, regrettably, there will always be younger members emerging, but it becomes challenging when all the older ones are no longer present. Pluto shared numerous Facebook statuses honoring Chief Split, and one thing was clear: things weren't the same anymore, and Pluto felt lonely, especially with Cody and Zach also incarcerated. In one post, he wrote, "Being on the block doesn't even feel the same anymore when your people are gone." In another post, he wrote, "I guarantee I'll get the last laugh," on Big Glow, and "Long live Chief Split." Several other members from GhostMobb such as Trey Ball and Martin wrote similar posts. In the end of August 2019, GhostMobb scored on Teen Mob/LT by killing 29-year-old Jonathan Washington. GhostMobb killed him deep inside the borders of Teen Mob's territory. According to rumors, GhostMobb did him very dirty and shot him multiple times in the head. Jonathan, who was called Jono, was tragically pronounced dead at the scene. Whoever said about GhostMobb who actually was on the hit is unknown. Pluto could have been one of them, but since I haven't heard his name attached to this killing, I won't put it on him. Jono was a beloved member in the hood and was mostly known for making money by dealing drugs, but he also had a normal job at a restaurant. Now we come to another event in this story, and that is the triple murder of 2 members from B Gang and 1 from 5th City/SMF. On September 18, 2019, at 2:48 p.m., Nino and 3 from B Gang/Harlem Boys, and Boss Slat from 5th City/SMF, were standing outside along with one other friend in front of a convenience store in the 4200 block of West Madison Street. The street is located close to the TVL set 4400, and Brickyard, 4CH, and B Gang, a set composed of both 4CH and CVL. Out of the blue, a white sedan smoothly glided to a halt near where the 4 men were gathered outside. Inside the vehicle, 2 individuals leaned forward and asked if the store sold cigarettes. One of the men among the group answered that cigarettes could be bought across the street. With a seemingly agreeable response, the occupants of the car acknowledged the answer, giving the impression that all was well. However, in an unexpected turn of events, as soon as the attention of the four men waned and they began to turn away, the occupants of the white sedan suddenly and without warning unleashed a hail of gunfire towards the group. In an instant, all four individuals were targeted by gunfire, executed with a precision that suggested the shooters possessed military-level training. The attack was swift and ruthless. 3 of the men fell victim to fatal headshots, crumpling to the ground in front of the store with immediate effect. One of the victims even got knocked out of his shoes. Meanwhile, the 4th individual sustained gunshot wounds to the torso and legs, leaving him in critical condition. 3 of the men were taken to Mount Sinai Hospital in critical condition and the 4th was treated at Loretto Hospital, but was later transferred to Strasser Hospital in critical condition. Boss Slat, 22, whose real name was Tyan Lewis, 3, also known as Stunner, 23, whose real name was Quasha Knowlton, and Nino, 19, whose real name was Charles Boston, were pronounced dead later in the day at the hospital. The 4th man, whose identity is unknown, fortunately survived the shooting. Despite the massive attention this mass shooting brought, the shooters was still at large, causing frustration for the police. However, on September 19th, the day following the shooting, police spokesman Anthony Guglielmi announced a breakthrough. They had located the white sedan involved in the triple homicide. The vehicle, reported stolen and missing for weeks, was found. Guglielmi stated that forensic technicians were diligently processing the car for potential evidence. Unfortunately, despite their efforts, no conclusive evidence was discovered, and the suspects remained on the loose. The aftermath on the scene was horrifying. In a video of the scene, which leaked to the internet, 2 bodies were shown lying flatlined next to the door of the convenience store. A 3rd body was seen laying crumpled over a curb a few feet away. The aftermath on the scene was horrifying. In a video of the scene, which leaked to the internet, 2 bodies were shown lying flatlined next to the door of the convenience store. A 3rd body was seen laying crumpled over a curb a few feet away. At least 40 evidence markers were scattered throughout the quick drive-through Food Mart's parking lot, where shell casings could be found and a pool of blood could be seen in front of the store's entrance. A group of people huddled at the corner store across the street. They all declined to comment, except one man, who was visibly upset. The man, who declined to share his identity, pleaded for journalists in the city to do more for communities affected by gun violence. Sybil, a 56-year-old woman who lives a block from the shooting, said she was down the street when she heard at least 15 gunshots. When I got here, girls were screaming, guys were screaming, and there was a guy laying in a puddle of blood. The reason why I tell you about this massacre is because it got a lot of attention in the media, but mainly because Pluto has long been rumored as one of the shooters. However, it is not true. The reason why so many have believed it was him was partly because it happened only a week before he himself was shot dead, but also because relatives of the victims honored them on the day Pluto died. However, it is a misinterpretation. The reason why they were honored on that day is not because Pluto died, but because the funerals for the 3 of them were held on the 27th, 28th, and 29th. So this shooting has nothing to do with Pluto. Those who were actually behind the shooting are MPAT Gang, or more commonly known as MNA, who rivals both GhostMobb and B-Gang. Multiple MNA members mocked the deceased after the shooting, and according to my sources there were 3 on the hit. However, who pulled the triggers are unknown. I knew people would be wondering about this situation if I left it out. That's why I wanted to talk about it in this video. Another reason why many thought Pluto was behind the triple murder, which is incorrect, is because only 10 days later his life would come to an end through the same brutal violence that he himself subjected so many others to. It wasn't surprising in any way. Like many other high-profile figures in Chicago's gang world, pride goes before the fall. No one is untouchable. When someone has put in so much work, like Pluto did, and on top of that made music where he mocked his enemies, it's rare to survive Chicago. We've seen it so many times before, most recently with Lil Jeff from Bloodhound/Drill City. On September 28, 2019, Pluto was at a barber shop getting a line up. After he was done, he hopped in a car together with at least one other person, a 28-year-old woman. In the 700 block of North Cicero Avenue, they stopped at a traffic light, and while standing still, a white car pulled up and stopped at the light. One man stepped out of the car and walked straight up to the car Pluto was sitting in and opened fire. Multiple bullets were fired into the car and hit both of the passengers, Pluto and the woman. The 28-year-old girl was in the torso, and the actual target, Pluto, was hit in the head and chest. The shooter then ran back to his car and drove off. Despite both of them getting hit, they still managed to take themselves to West Suburban Medical Center in Oak Park, which is approximately an 8-minute drive from where they were shot. The girl was treated at the hospital and was listed in good condition. Pluto, however, who had been shot multiple times in the head and chest, was tragically pronounced dead at the hospital. Pluto, whose real name was Derek L. Burns, only lived to be 22 years old. There have been various rumors about who killed Pluto from GhostMobb. It has also long been very unclear what actually happened. I will try to clarify this for you now and tell you what is true and what is false. In the beginning there were rumors that Teen Mob/LT were involved. That rumor is not true. Another rumor floating around is that the Huron Mob was behind the murder. This is also not true. BTBG have also been rumored to be involved, but that is also false. What is the truth? According to the sources I have spoken to, it was 4700/Rogang/Telemob, which is also the territory where Pluto was killed. 4700 is a set composed of members who claim TVL, traveling vice lords, and are close with Wicked Town, which we talked about in the first part of this story. However, I may let you down here, but I actually don't have a clue who the shooter was in the murder, and I don't want to guess. Weirdly, despite the magnitude of the murder, there hasn't been a lot of talk surrounding it, which has made it difficult to get hold of information. It is also much more difficult to get information from out west compared to the south or east, where members happily sing in the DMs. The reactions from enemies of GhostMobb were enormous. The mockery just flooded on Instagram, Facebook, and on YouTube. It came from members of mainly Teen Mob/LT, but also Poppy Gang, BTBG, MOF, Sane Gang, HRYM, and many others. However, it wasn't just members. The mockery also came from family of people who had fallen victim to Pluto's gun violence. For example, on relative posted a Facebook status where she wrote, I'm going to keep talking shit about Pluto. He made a lot of people's families cry. Now is his family's turn. Pluto was really a savage, and the whole scene out west is on another level compared to the south and east. It's constantly back-to-back killings and it's somehow more brutal. It's kids with face tattoos, automatic weapons, and zero cares in the world. I have probably missed certain events due to lack of information. It really wouldn't surprise me if Pluto had more bodies than the 8 I have mentioned. This also applies to GhostMobb in general. They definitely have more bodies than mentioned in this 2-part story. It was very interesting for me to make this story, because I didn't know much about it before, and I will make more videos about other gangs out west. I recommend you listen to Pluto's music. He really had talent and it's sad, but not surprising, to see how it ended for him. Since Pluto's passing in 2019, GhostMobb have lost 5 members. Exactly a year after Pluto was killed, they lost Sumo, who was killed by BTBG as revenge for the murder of Dern, who had been killed by Richway 600 just 2 days earlier. The reason Richway 600 killed Dern is because he was involved in a vigil shooting in Richway's hood, which was held for a fallen member. After Sumo, TNG lost Tuli, which we talked about earlier in the video. 2 years later, GhostMobb lost LC Money. She was allegedly killed by BTBG at a gas station. A few months later, in early July, they lost another member, G-Ball, who was shot and killed. Another 3 months later, they lost yet another member, King Scoop, who was shot in the head while standing on the sidewalk on the edge of GhostMobb territory. Since King Scoop died in October 2023, GhostMobb has not lost a member. Today, new younger members have come up, such as Lil Split, who is Chief Split's little brother, and Baby Ghost, the little brother of Ghost, and Trey Ball. There is a lot of other shorties coming up which we will talk about in another video. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment what you thought. Comment what you want to see next. God bless you all.